Lasya and Manaswini joined.
Present, sir. Joined, sir.
Very good.
Lasya and Manashwini, sir. Yes. Anisha, please. No, it is okay.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mute yourself, everyone.
Children, no talking, please. What I told you in the classes.
Good morning, sir. Good
Please
morning,
mute yourself, everyone.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So he is joining, so we can start off as soon as he joins. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Pratima, I'm making you the host.
Yes, sir.
You can go ahead.
Yes, sir.
You can start, Purnima.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
I request Jitendra to welcome our management and today's chief guest and teachers and students. Jitendra,
Yes, ma'am.
please start.
Yes, ma'am. To invite our correspondent, Mr. B.S.N. Murthy, our beloved principal, Mrs. Purnima, our teachers, and my dear friends on the occasion of Kargil. I am very proud to invite our chief guest, Wing Commander Radha Krishna Garu. We gathered here to celebrate Kargil Vijay Divas. I request Namakashini to tell us about the importance of today.
Hi, I'm Lasya.
It's last.
Take this proud privilege of addressing you all on this great occasion, Kargil Vijay Divas. It is a celebration every Indian is proud of. Yes, it was the bravery of our brave soldiers which made the army run away from the Kargil. It is the time we should celebrate. Unfortunately, we lost 500 plus brave Indian soldiers and 1300 plus were injured. It was also an occasion. We salute their martyrs for their great sacrifice to the motherland. Thank you.
Jitendra.
I request Manashwini to play Vande Mataram.
Everyone, please stand up for the Vande Mataram.
Thank you, Manashwini. To mark our respect towards the Mathya soldiers who sacrificed their life for our nation, let us observe 1 minute of silence.
I request
I
everybody to
request
stand.
everyone to thank you.
Now I request our Murthy sir to say a few words on this occasion.
Excuse me. I request Lasya to speak about today's day. Yes, Lasya, continue, Nana.
No, it is Pratima, it is Murthy sir's speech only.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good
Right,
evening.
my greetings to everyone on this great occasion. The, today we are celebrating Kargil Vijay Divas, right? And it's a very proud moment to every Indian. And I'm also very happy that today we have with us Wing Commander Radha Krishna Garu, and he was with Indian Air Force for almost 23 years. Lasya will give you the total details about him. She will read out the profile for you. Now, the important thing I wanted to tell you is he is my classmate. We studied together 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th classes way back in 1974, 77, almost 45, 46 years back. Okay. And he has taken that line, and then he opted to serve the country that way. So he's here with us, and then he's a very, very disciplined person and also a very good human being. And I don't want to take much of your time. We will just listen to Radha Krishna Garu about what happened in Kargil, and also, why we should be patriotic, and also how we can take it forward to serve the country. What is that you all can do when you grow up into adults. Okay, thank you from my side. So Lasya, please go ahead with the introduction of the chief guest today.
Thank you, sir. And now I request Maunama to introduce our chief guest.
Wing Commander Radhakrishna Kothapati has about 35 years of technical and executive management experience in defense and corporate sectors. He is an electronics and communications engineering graduate of 1986 from JNT University College, Hyderabad. He has an MTech in communications engineering from IIT Mumbai and is also a certified project management professional from PMI USA. He served in the Indian Air Force for 23 years in various capacities as a technical officer in charge of the ground-to-ground and ground-to-air communications systems of the IAF. After an illustrious career of the IAF, he had taken a premature retirement as a wing commander and entered the corporate world. For the last 12 years, he has been serving in the various corporate companies and is currently an associate vice president at a multinational company. Thank you. Now I request our today's chief guest, Radhakrishna sir, to give his valuable speech.
Okay, Jai Hind and good evening, everyone. I would like to thank the correspondent BSN Murthy. As he mentioned, we happen to be schoolmates very long ago. 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th we studied together, and I consider this as an honor and a privilege to be able to speak to the children who are the future of our nation, and then share a few of my knowledge as part of the defense services. And I would also like to thank the teaching and non-teaching staff of the school management who have made this possible. And it's always a privilege to speak to the young children, young minds, where they are molding themselves towards their future and then shaping up their ideas of what would be ahead of them in their future. So with that as a preliminary note, I would like to mention to you, I am not a war hero myself. However, I have served in the Indian Air Force. As you all know, I will tell you the whole story of Kargil as a small, let's say 15 or 20 minutes in a nutshell, I'll put across to you so that all of you children will understand what exactly is this Kargil war and what is it that we should be knowing about it. So, India Armed Forces has 3 arms: Indian Air Force, Indian Army, and the Indian Navy. And these 3 defense forces guard our country with our borders from sea, air, and land. All 3 services, we take care of the complete borders and make sure that every citizen of this country is safe and comfortable and free to live in the manner that they want within the confines of our country. That is the role of the Air Force and Army and the Navy. And I come from the Indian Air Force. Now let me go back to a little bit of history so that you will understand what is this war, why this Kargil war came into picture. You all know that India gained independence from the British rule in the year 1947. When this independence was announced, there was a request for a separate country for the Muslim community within the country. And that is how Pakistan has been created that time as East Pakistan and West Pakistan in 1947. Those of you who remember a bit of history or who have studied, they know about it. Now, Pakistan is a neighboring country, which was all part of this complete India, which became a different country on religious grounds that it has to be a separate country to be given away to Muslims. Pakistan remained as a Muslim country, whereas India continued as a secular country where we accepted every religion, every caste, everyone to live together in harmony. That is the greatness of our country. All of us should be proud that we are born in this country. And now I'll let you know how these wars started between these 2 countries. When the partition happened, the topmost state, that is the Jammu and Kashmir state, was a princely state. Princely state means it had its own king that time. And then the king was given the liberty to decide whether he wanted to move with India or he wanted to go with Pakistan. There was the ruler was a Hindu ruler, and he wanted to go towards India. And the Muslim dominated areas towards the Pakistan, they started creating unrest that the king should give away the Jammu and Kashmir to Pakistan. And because of this unrest developing and then the fightings that developed, the king requested India to support with army so that he can fight the militancy kind of a insurgents from the other side. And that is how he acceded Jammu and Kashmir to India. So Kashmir became part of India, and the first war that came up because of this was called as 1947 war. After that, Pakistan never let go this thing. They always feel that Kashmir should be part of Pakistan. So there was one more war after that in 1961, 62, and then the second war in 1971, and the third one, the major war, which came in 1999, which is called the Kargil War. Now, what is the claim of Pakistan? Pakistan wants Kashmir to be part of Pakistan and to be declared as part of the Muslim country. And we as Indians, we never want to part away with our piece of land, which is the most important part of our country. For that, what Pakistan did as a game plan was they took charge of certain mountain peaks in the year 1999. I'll tell you a story. These particular peaks in the north, they are all ice capped during the winter season, because of which it is a mutual agreement. Both countries have an agreement that the posts or the places where they are guarded, they are left unmanned. That means Pakistani forces go back to safer places, Indian forces come back to Indian side, starting from the early part of January. And after the snow starts melting, sometime in May and June, that is the time when the forces go back and take charge of their respective posts. Posts are the security bunkers or the army posts, which they take control from both sides. In that particular year, 1999, General Musharraf, he created a situation where he planned that let us wage a war against India and then make sure that Srinagar is separated from India as a country so that they can slowly make it part of Pakistan. Against the standard agreement that everyone should go back, in January and February timeframe, February, March, and April, the military of Pakistan, they supported the local population, the so-called semi-military organizations and the military. They came and occupied approximately 132 posts, which were otherwise supposed to be Indian posts. And Indians did not, our defense forces, as usual, they did not expect that somebody will come and occupy our post during a time when it is an agreement, nobody should move. Okay. In May, that is the first time we detected that there is some movements of Pakistan happening in that side. And then they said, okay, there is some problem. Initially, it was thought it is small terrorists who are trying to create nuisance. One party was sent and that party was destroyed, mutilated. 5 of our soldiers were killed on 5th of May to 1999. Then that is the time when the Indian army and India as a country realized that this is a game plan of Pakistan, that they are trying to wage a war against us. Then that is the time when the Indian army started moving all the forces towards that northern side, by which time Pakistan had already moved 3,000 army personnel into the border to fight. Why is it important that these peaks or the mountain peaks are important? The only road connectivity between the India as a country and Srinagar, which is part of Kashmir, is one road, main highway, which is called National Highway 1, which is controlled by the security on top of these peaks. It's a 100-mile road, and that complete road control can be taken from this top position. Supposing you are sitting on top of your building, and if you are trying to fire at the road in front of you, you can make sure that nobody passes that road because you are at a height and you can control the thing. That is what Pakistan tried to do. Now, there are a lot of peaks in that area, which is called Tololing. And this complete area is called the Kargil district. That is why it is called Kargil War. Now, Indian armed forces, they had to take back these posts, 132 Indian posts we had to take back from them. Imagine you are sitting on the second floor of your building. That is when you are in your peacetime, you are the owner of the building. because of the season, winter season, you have decided to come down to the ground floor and never go to the top. But from behind, your enemies have come and sitting on top of your building, second floor building. Now you have to attack this enemy. You cannot go by the stairs. There is no stairs. Here I'm talking of mountains. Just to give an example, I said a house. You have to climb that building upwards in whatever manner you can and fight the military personnel of Pakistan who are sitting on top. Can you imagine? The people sitting on top, they have machine guns. They can just roll a boulder or a stone, and at least 20 to 30 people who are trying to go up the mountain will get killed. That is the kind of adversity. Can I request everyone to mute your calls, please? Kindly mute your calls. All of you kindly mute yourself so that there is no disturbance.
Vishnu, mute yourself. Vishnu.
Pratima, mute everybody. Mute all.
You can go ahead.
Okay. So everybody is muted now. Okay. Now the problem is we have to go, Indian Army personnel have to go up the hill. The hill is like this, very peak hill, and then Pakistan Army is sitting on top. They have machine guns, they have boulders, they can just roll a stone downwards and then 20 to 30 Jawans will get killed. We had mobilized approximately 200,000 troops towards Kashmir within a span of 2 weeks. Within a span of 2 weeks, we had put so much of army personnel and the Air Force personnel there to fight this war. And just imagine, our soldiers were going up the hill and they were firing from top. It was one of the most difficult wars to fight when the enemy had an advantage of sitting on top of the hill and then firing downwards. There are so many heroic stories of the way our Jawans, our officers, and our armed forces personnel braved the steep slope with all the arms, ammunition firing down at them. On an average, more than 6,000 to 7,000 bullets were fired down each hill every day. And then our troops had to walk upwards, crawl upwards with no other support, take control of our own bunkers on top. And this was the type of adversity or difficulty against which our armed forces were fighting. Now, I am from the Indian Air Force. What Air Force does is gives protection and support from the air. What is the support that it can give? For any army to fight, there has to be their arms and ammunition. That means their guns, ammunition, everything has to come from backwards, and they have to be fed every day. Their food and supply, water has to come from backwards. The Air Force, what it does is it takes airborne, takes charge of the back end support. That means you cut off the support from behind and make sure that the forces who are already on the bunker, it is limited to that, and army controls the area by charging at them, taking care of the occupation of each of these bunkers one by one. It was a most difficult wars which was fought, which went on for more than 2.5 months. And finally, our Indian Army soldiers, the brave soldiers, we managed to capture one peak after the peak, one after the other. And every week we used to capture back one peak and then take charge of that peak. Like that, there are at least 15 to 20 peaks and 132 posts which were otherwise supposed to be manned by us. They walked into our Indian territory and then occupied this thing. In this bargain, I will just tell you of one story which probably will make you realize what is the difficulty against which the people walked in. When these Jawans were walking in upwards like this, they had to spend nights, the complete night there, because they cannot come back for food. They were somewhere on the hills, on the rocks. They had to spend the complete night. And next day morning, early morning, as soon as the light breaks up again, they have to go up. They can't use lights because the moment you use a light in the night, you are detected from the top and you are fired at. So you had to, there is no trees, nothing to hide, only stones of different shapes and sizes, and this small hillocks behind which they were taking cover, and then walking up, crawling up, climbing up the 60 to 70-degree high peak altitudes. And that is the adversity. And one of the stories I'll tell you, as I mentioned, is there were a few Jawans who were asked to continuously fire on top. They are not just walking on their own, they have to carry their ammunition on the back, heavy, and they were firing on the top, and a few got injured. And one of the Jawans, he told the other team members, I have got injured, don't worry, you have to reach to the top, you continue, I will stay put here and then keep firing at the bunkers. The time that took for the team to go back, go to the top, capture that, and come back to rescue these people who were stuck like this was nearly 2 days. And 2 days after that, when the commanding officer of that was coming back, he saw that these soldiers, a few of them, their guns were aimed at the bunker, complete ammunition was fired, they were killed, but they were frozen in that direction. They died and they were frozen, became ice. Just imagine the kind of sacrifices that the Indian Army personnel had made to make sure that we regained our territory back. One by one, as I said, we captured our peaks. And finally, July, second week of July is the time when international pressure, Pakistan had support of the United States and other countries initially, but after it was proved by the Indian Army that the Pakistan has intruded into Indian territory, and the international pressure said that you have to withdraw, and the Pakistani forces were made to withdraw from the battlefield, because by then we had captured all the 132 posts, and General Musharraf had to withdraw his troops because Nawaz Sharif was the prime minister at that time, and all the Pakistani troops were withdrawn into Pakistan side in 1999. And July 26th, 1999, this complete territory of the Kargil was declared as peaceful and under the control of the Indian Army. This complete operation of the Indian Army was called Operation Vijay. That is why you call it as Op Vijay. And all over the country, this thing happened exactly 22 years ago. 26th of July, exactly in 1999, is the time when we were declared as completely victorious in this particular war of the Kargil. And we are celebrating the 22nd anniversary of this. While we celebrate this, all the Jawans, all the officers, and the brave soldiers who fought for our country, like in the introduction, the teacher had mentioned, we had lost 527 people who died in this war, and 1,363 people who were injured, different grades of injuries, recovered, and some of them could not recover. Some of them do not have their hand, some of them do not have their leg, some of them do not have their eyes. That kind of casualties were there. And on the Pakistani side, more than 4,000 people died from the Pakistani army side. War is a war. It is ultimately, we won the war and we took charge of our country. And the Indian Air Force played a very, very important role. I am from part of the Indian Air Force, so I have to mention to you what Indian Air Force did. Indian Air Force, they participated in this operation by cutting off the back-end supply or connectivity to the people who are in the bunkers. They used the aircrafts like MiG-21s, MiG-27, MiG-29, Mirage 2000. They used laser-guided bombs to bomb the locations and then make sure that there is no back-end support for Pakistan, and the army could manage to somehow go forward, capture, but in the bargain, lots of people, they lost their lives. And then just imagine youngsters of the age of 19 years, 20 years, 21 years, 25 years, in their early 30s or 20s, most of them, they died in the sacrifice for our motherland. couple of things I wanted to mention to you, why all of us should be very, very proud of being part of this country. India as a country, we do not know how many thousands of years before civilization started in India, but India as a country never ever invaded any other country. They never walked into anybody's country. It is always the others who came into India, who fought with us, who invaded us, who plundered us, who lived with us, and who have become part of us. But India never till date went into any other country. In 1971 war, India, as an India armed forces, we were victorious. We walked into 1500 square kilometers of Pakistan territory. That was the victory. We wanted to stay back there, but the decision of India as a nation was, let us not do something which we have never done in our history. We gifted the part of Pakistan occupied Kashmir back to them in 1971 war, which Pakistan could never forget as a greatest defeat for them. And that is why they keep waging wars. Ultimately, coming to the Kargil war, just in case if you are interested in understanding a little more about what all happened in this war, there are at least 5 different movies. I know children, you're all interested in watching movies. There are 5 movies you can watch at your free time to understand what kind of difficulties that the Indian armed forces, whether it is Air Force, whether it is Army, they have undergone this struggle to get independent Kashmir to be back into our fold of India. LOC Kargil is one movie. Lakshya is one more movie. Tango Charlie is one movie. Dhoop is one movie. Stump is one movie. And Mausam. Mausam will tell you about the Air Force element of the war in 1999, the Kargil war. So the operation which was undertaken by the Air Force was named as Safed Sagar because it was all white because of snow. Sea of white. That is what the Air Force could see when they took off. So that is called Safed Sagar for Air Force. And for Army, it was Operation Vijay. So we salute all these heroes who fought for us, who made sure that all of us are living peacefully and comfortably. And I am proud to be part of that Indian Air Force. And I served in the Indian Air Force for 23 years. And I wanted to just mention to you this short story. I did not participate in the Kargil war, but during 2018, Air Force, we as all of us went as part of a trekking team. One of the peaks that was captured was called Tololing Peak. And we did an expedition. We trekked up to the peak and we went to that peak. And this is the t-shirt that I have of that occasion, 2018. We went to the Tololing Peak. I am proud to be part of the Air Force. And as youngsters, I want you to understand what it takes to defend a country. All of you have great thinking minds. Please think positive. What is good about our country? We have always been good to our neighbors. We have always been spreading knowledge. We have always been believing in Vasudhaika Kutumbam. That means all of us live as brothers and sisters. We do not discriminate anybody against anyone. That is the great country that we are of. All of you should be proud of. And should you have anybody have any questions about, let us say, the defense forces, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and anything that you want, anytime you can reach your correspondent Murthy Garu, and then he can direct you to me. I can clarify those things. And now I think I've spent enough time to make you understand what exactly is the Kargil war, what difficulties against which Indian Army and the Indian Air Force fought this war and got us this victory. We are not only celebrating this day, but we are also paying homage and salute to all the brave soldiers who lost their lives in their fight next 2 months. So that's it. I think I will stop at this. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. I'm sure children, a lot of you would have doubts. If you have any doubts, please ask me. I can clarify your doubts.
We'll go one
Thank
by
you, sir,
one.
for your valuable speech. I request our friends to ask if any questions.
Tina, please unmute the person who wants to ask the
Only those who want to speak now, only those who want to speak can unmute. Others, please stay in the mute position.
Please, everybody mute yourself. Only who wants to ask the question can unmute and ask. Yeah, Adipranav, please ask.
You have to unmute him.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable inspirational speech. I have some questions.
Yeah, please.
Sir, what is the nature of work of a wing commander?
Okay. So, see, wing commander is one of the ranks. Like, for example, we start as pilot officers in the Air Force. Pilot officer, flying officer, flight lieutenant, squadron leader, wing commander, then group captain. This is the different rank structure. And wing commander is one of the ranks in this structure as one goes up. And a wing commander can work in the communications. A wing commander can work in the radar systems. A wing commander can work in the aircraft's maintenance, and a wing commander can work in the logistics branch. We have 8 branches in the Air Force. And flying branch is one of the branches where a wing commander can fly a fighter plane, he can fly a transport, he can fly a helicopter. And I was part of the technical branch officer, and I was taking care of the communication systems, ground to ground and ground to air. That means when an aircraft is on air, aircraft will speak to the ground, and ground people will speak to the aircraft. That is ground to air communication. And ground to ground is I am in Kashmir, I want to speak to Punjab. So there is a ground to ground communication. So I used to take care of communication. So wing commander is one of the ranks. The job can be based on your expertise. You can do up any job within the Air Force.
Sir,
Thank you, sir. Prem Mukesh.
Good evening, sir. My name is Premkesh.
Hi,
I am
Prem.
from 7th grade. I had a question. I love my country. How can I serve my country now?
You are serving your country by being a good citizen. First thing is be a good citizen. Be good to yourself, good to your parents, be good to your teachers, be good to your siblings, be good to your neighbors. That is how your service to the country starts. Okay, all of us love our country. First, be a very, very good citizen. Be good to everyone. Try and do your best to help others. And should you want to serve further, you have an opportunity to become part of the armed forces. You need not be completely with the armed forces only to serve the country. You can serve in any capacity, but should you have the inclination and the motivation to join the armed forces, you can join Air Force, Army, or Navy and be part of that brave force which is fighting for our country, and then feel that josh to be part of the country, serving the country. Okay, so first be a very, very good citizen, good child, good student, good son, good brother, and then slowly you go up in your life.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes, children, anybody else?
Sir,
I
can
ask one doubt.
Children,
I
please.
think Achut.
Achut. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Sir, what is a navy?
Navy. Okay. As I told you, armed forces have 3 wings: Air Force, Army, and the Navy. Army is the biggest force because it has got a huge landmass to this thing. And Army, in terms of numbers, it is the biggest. After that, it is Air Force. The Army, what it does is it safeguards the complete land assets. The Air Force, what it does, it takes care of the aerial borders. No enemy aircraft, nothing from the other side can enter into the airspace of India. That is what Air Force takes care. And you know that we have a lot of sea coast, the complete peninsula of India, huge thousands of kilometers of coastline we have. The Navy does guarding of this complete coastline. No ship or no boat can enter into the Indian territory through the sea route, and Navy takes care of the defense through water.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Jai Hind. Yes, anybody else, children?
Sir,
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, who's this? Maunik?
I am Yamni from 7th class. I am studying in Smart Kennedy School.
Yeah,
I
Mani,
would
tell me
ask
a
you
question.
a question.
Yeah.
I want to become a pilot. How can I pursue my career path?
Very good. If you want to become a pilot, first be a good student. I am not saying good student means you should always get 100% in everything, but good student means work hard, do well. Physical fitness is important. Be a fit individual, right weight, and then sharpness of the mind. Do some exercises to remain fit and be sharp at your mind. Be good at your studies. Be good to everyone. And then once you want to become a pilot, there are multiple routes. One is after graduation, you can write the CDS or the Combined Defense Services entrance, or after the 12th class, you can write the entrance of the NDA, by which time, by the time you come there, probably the NDA will start accepting women also into the armed forces as pilots. And you can apply for the selection process of Air Force, Army, or Navy. All three services have pilots in them, and maximum number of pilots are in the Indian Air Force. You can, as you come closer to the 12th class, you can choose to become a pilot. The basic requirements, as I told you, is sharpness of mind, physical fitness that you should have, and be good at your studies, and then be sharp with your mind. And as you reach closer to the 12th class, you will start understanding your targets. There is a possibility the pilot can be in civil stream. That means you're flying the civil aircrafts, or a pilot with the armed forces. That means you're flying transport or fighter aircrafts within the defense forces. You can start working towards it. But if you have that dream, start working towards it. As I mentioned to you, start with very, very basics: physical fitness, mental fitness, good in studies, be a good citizen. Okay.
sir, I had a one more doubt, sir.
Yes.
Who is this, ma'am?
Who is this?
I am Achyut, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me, Achyut.
Yeah, Achyut, go ahead.
Sir, I should have an Indian Air Force. I can join. I had a surgery. I can join the Indian Air Force.
Surgery to what extent? Is there a disability because of the surgery? So,
No, any disability, but I had a stomach surgery.
no problem. No problem. Stomach surgery is not a problem.
Okay.
And I see that you have glasses. As long as it is 6x6 with glasses, you can join Indian Air Force. No problem.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Abhijit Kar.
Sir, good evening, sir. My name is Abhijit Kar.
Yeah, Abhijit.
I am from 8th grade. My question is,
Yeah.
China is disturbing us in the border. Are we capable of confronting and winning if war comes?
Okay. See, I'll tell you, for victory, just number of personnel and ammunition will not help. You should be on the right. That means in terms of dharma, are you on the right or not? If you are truthful, if you are on the right path, and if you are determined that you are defending your own territory, you are not intruding into somebody's thing, there is 200% chances that even if the numbers, in terms of numbers, Chinese army may be bigger than our army, but in terms of the dharma, the truthfulness in the purpose that which we are fighting, and in terms of the determination. We had recently one incident where in the near Pangong Tso Lake, there was a dispute between Chinese army and Indian army. The Chinese army, the numbers were so many, and we had only 20 of our soldiers. 20 of our soldiers fought with more than 200 of the Chinese soldiers, and then made sure that we inflicted enough injuries onto them. They had to walk back from their posts, and they had to withdraw from their posts. That is the kind of determination and grit and strength that Indian armed forces have with them, because we are on the right, we are truthful, ours is the right reason for which we are fighting. So victory will be ours, and we have enough capabilities, whether it is air support, that means aircrafts, whether it is guns, whether it is soldiers. We have enough numbers to fight Chinese army, and it is not that people will just walk away. There is international support that is required for any country to walk into any other country, and the complete world is supporting India in its cause that yes, China cannot enter. There can be small problems that can keep coming up, but we will come out victorious. We are capable of fighting China.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable information.
Next
Yes, children,
question.
anybody else?
Sir, a small question.
Yeah.
Sir, how to join in the Air Force after the completion of 10th class?
After the 10th class, see, I would recommend, see, there are two methods of entry into the armed forces. One is you can join as a Jawan, or in the Air Force, we call it airman. That means for Air Force, a minimum qualification is 12th class with science group. Whereas in Army, somebody can join with 10th class as a Jawan. But I would recommend that being in the situation where your parents are able to support you, you can study further. So at least complete 12th class and graduation. After 12th class, you can apply for NDA, study well, work hard, be intelligent, crack the NDA exam, and get into the armed forces as an officer, where you are leading a force of 300, 400 people. That should be your motivation, and not join as one of the Jawans. Jawans are doing an exceptional work. I agree with that. But if there is an opportunity, if you have the support of your parents and your infrastructure to study further, study up to the 12th class and aim to hit the NDA and then become an officer, you can become a motivator for many other people. No harm in joining as a Jawan, but definitely better education makes you a better citizen and more capable of delivering your thought process in influencing more people and then making an impact. You should not be one of the hundreds. You should be that one who controls those hundreds. Aim for that. And I would recommend that you go for 12th class, do well, and crack the NDA, National Defense Academy entrance test, and then enter as an officer in the armed forces. That will be my recommendation for you.
Okay, one last question.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Last question, sir.
Yeah.
If Air Force is selected as a career option, is it okay, sir?
It is one of the best options that you can think of. Frankly speaking, what I have retired from the Air Force 13 years ago, and I still get my pension, which is sufficient for my complete family. And in terms of money, I'm talking of, it gives adequate money. And there is something which it can never compensate. No civilian job can compensate the pride in the uniform that you have and the satisfaction that you have served the nation. Your medical requirements are taken care of, your finances are taken care of. That is one of the best career options if you choose to become part of the armed forces. You can choose Air Force, Army, or Navy. If you want to become part of them, please become part of them. And then, as I mentioned, aim to do 12th class and then go through NDA. You will enjoy your life.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Children, please.
The person who is physically injured and has some problem, can they apply for NDA and this thing, sir?
No, unfortunately, no. Even the soldiers who are serving in the Air Force or the Army, when they get injured, they are given disability pension and they are moved out from the main fighting force. So physical fitness is a very, very important requirement. If you have a physical disability, then joining the armed forces is a difficulty.
Rama, mute yourself. The disturbance is from your phone. Rama. Yes.
Yes, Sri Lakshmi, you are having some question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Sri Lakshmi, go ahead.
Little bit louder, Nana. Your voice is not clear. Please, Sri Lakshmi, once check and ask.
Good evening, sir. What are the devices that are used for communication during the war? And how do you overcome the signal problems?
Okay. Just
Sorry, Sri Lakshmi, I could not understand.
Lakshmi, you can just send a chat message.
You can type your question in the message
Yeah, please type
window.
the question. Sri Lakshmi's parents, please type the question, please.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, anyone else?
Disabled, sir. May I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, what are the devices that are used for communication during a war?
Okay. See, the normal mobile communication that we use, it can be tapped and it can be monitored by anybody. So we have similar devices. During my time, when I joined the Air Force 35 years ago, the communication systems were different. The communication systems are changing every day. We have similar communication devices, but everything is encrypted communication. Encrypted means anybody monitoring in between, they will get only noise or garbled this thing. You cannot make out what exactly is being communicated. You have similar communication sets even now, but the Army and the Air Force, they cannot use the normal mobile communication that is used for the civilian population, because what you are talking can be monitored, but what an Army person is talking should not be monitored. So they have something called radio sets, which have small range and longer range, and they are encrypted. Encrypted means there is a code which is fitted into it, and anybody trying to listen in between, they will just listen to noise. But the other side, this code is known to the other side, so that decodes the message and then it is fed to the thing. So communication systems remain the same, but there is encryption and decryption at both sides. Encryption means making it corrupt at this side, other side, you get the intelligence out of it. As you study further, you will understand what is the difference, how the encryption and decryption happens to the voice communication.
I think
you,
we
sir.
should stop with this.
Okay,
Time
sir.
is up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, children. I really appreciate your enthusiasm and your interest, and I appreciate the management, school management, for having thought of this idea that, okay, so today is Kargil Divas or Op Vijay Divas. We should celebrate this day and then remember the sacrifices that have been given by many of our Army and Air Force soldiers. In this particular war, there are 4 Paramveer Chakras. Paramveer Chakra is an award given by the Indian government for the most sacrificial service in the front of the enemy. 4 Paramveer Chakras and 11 Mahavir Chakras were awarded during this war for our armed personnel. And then we should remember all these great soldiers of ours on this particular day. And then if you have time, please watch a few of these movies, as I mentioned to you. You will understand the gravity and the difficulty against which they fought. And thank you again, once again, thank you, children, for listening to me and then asking your questions. And thanks to the management for having given this opportunity to me to be part of the children for some time today.
Thanks a lot for sharing your precious time with us. I think the children will go ahead with the closing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Wait.
Nagavarshini.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, please mute yourself. Program is not yet over. You can tell the thank yous later.
All of you mute yourself now.
Nagavarshini.
Monima, madam.
Yeah.
Yes, Monima, over to you.
Thank you, friends.
I request Nagavarshini to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, one and all. I'm honored to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of our school management and staff. I would like to thank our chief guest who has given his valuable time and enlightened us with his informative speech. All armed forces aspirants have got an idea to serve the country. We got motivation of one step at a time. Each and every incident that you've mentioned ran as a sea in front of our eyes. Now we neatly understood the sacrifice and the dedication of our soldiers and never give up attitude which derives individuals towards success. We are really blessed to listen the story through you, sir. We'll definitely watch the movies. I thank our Murthy sir who has created this opportunity for all of us and make this day a memorable day. I thank our principal ma'am and teachers to guide us and support us all through. I thank my friends who has shown the interest and are enthusiastic to attend such programs. Thank you once again. I request everyone to stand for the national anthem. I request Nagasri Lasya to play the national anthem.
Children, everybody stand up, Nana.
Yes, teacher.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, teachers.
Thank you, Radhika.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, all of you.
Bye, ma'am. Bye,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank
Good
you, sir.
program, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Wait, Nana, sir is telling something. 1 second. Sir,
See, this is how we should conduct programs, perfectly, right? You understood? Every one of you should become an event manager. We should conduct the events very well. I thank everyone, all the teachers for, the planning that they have done, and also all those anchors from Jitendra to Nagavarshini and then the instruments, Lasya and Manaswini, everyone, including Monima. If I forgot anyone's name, all of you have done an extremely very good job. This is how we got to continue. Next program we will have on the 15th of August. I am planning a big program on 15th of August. In the similar lines, we will have it maybe for 2 hours or 3 hours. The teachers will do the planning and then tell you how you have to prepare. Apart from the academics, actually what I wanted is, the whatever we do in the physical schooling has to be done online also. So you'll have all these things. So let us all participate with all the seriousness and then see that, you gain some knowledge out of all these activities also. Today I could enter only 100 people in this Zoom meeting. Now there are some people who could not attend this meeting because the number has crossed 100. So the rest of the people who were unable to watch, I have recorded this total entire program. I'll send you this video on the YouTube. We'll be sending you the YouTube link. Okay. Thank you very much once again. All the very best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you, sir.
Thank
you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye.